long ago in the castle of a kingdom called Daventry.
Alexander, here you are. Oh, you're still not thinking about Cosima, are you?
I suppose I am.
Son, it's been months. You've got to pull yourself together. After all, you only met her that once.
I know.
Have you discovered anything about the land of the Green Isles?
No. No one's even heard of it. It's like she's just vanished.
I wish I could help. Please try to think about something else, dear.
I'll try, Mother.
Alexander, I feel so alone. I don't know what to do. Alexander, I wish you were here. Alexander.
Cosima! Wait! Mother! Mother, come quick!
Alexander, what on earth? You're white as a ghost.
Mother, I saw Cosima. She was in the mirror.
In the mirror? The magic mirror?
Yes! And it showed me how to find her.
How?
The stars! I saw the stars outside her window. I can navigate by the stars.
Oh, Alexander, if you really go...
It will be all right, Mother. I promise.
Prince Alexander sailed the known seas and beyond. As the ship nears the shore, day turns to night and the sea turns violent. Alexander awakens to find himself on an unfamiliar beach. For a moment, he is too dazed to remember how he got here. Then he does remember. The shipwreck, the sea. Just as he had seen his men safely into the lifeboats, a gigantic wave picked him up and tossed him overboard into the churning sea. That was the last he'd seen of his crew. Debris from the shipwreck is scattered along the shore, but of the lifeboats and his men, there is thankfully no trace. He can only hope and pray that the lifeboats survived the currents, and that his men made their way safely back to Daventry. The sky is sunny and clear. A few white clouds accent the bright blue. The remains of Alexander's sailing ship lie dashed upon the distant shore. Alexander is standing on a beach littered with debris from his shipwreck. A path leads north into the lush green island. An occasional breeze rustles the nearby foliage. The ocean appears calm, but there's a dimpling pattern to the surface which indicates an undertow. Rocks abound on this lush volcanic isle. Broken pieces of Alexander's ship litter the beach. Alexander's royal insignia ring lies abandoned on the sand. It must have slipped from his finger during the shipwreck. Fortunately, it was not lost in the sea. Alexander picks up his royal insignia ring from the beach. Alexander pushes the plank to one side. A box has been partially buried under sand. The box must have opened in the sea, spilling its treasure. Everything has been washed away, except for one coin of Daventry. There's a copper coin in the treasure box. The coin bears the seal of Daventry and King Graham's noble face. Alexander takes the coin and leaves the ruined box where it is. A grand old tree stretches its luxurious limbs out over the crossroads. Rocks abound on this lush volcanic isle. To the left, a small village seems to invite the weary traveler. Alexander is standing at a crossroads. To the left, he can see a village. To the right, a castle. From the south come the sounds of the sea. In the distance, a majestic castle shines in the sun. There's a little hut just off the path. Perhaps the guard dogs have an occasional use for it, but it looks empty now. Formal hedges and bushes provide dramatic landscaping for the castle. Two guards take their stance in front of the castle doors. They look quite fierce and have the stiff, blank expression of soldiers on formal duty. The castle doors are firmly shut and bolted. The castle appears to be of Moorish architecture. Its marbled walls and delicate inlaid mosaics are unlike anything Alexander has ever experienced before. His own home, though lovely and dear to his heart, seems rough-hewn compared to this delicate beauty. The side of the castle is one big blank wall. The bushes near the side wall of the castle have been left natural and unsculptured. Vines have begun to climb the castle's stucco walls. Alexander politely addresses the odd-looking guards at the castle doors, hoping to learn more about his predicament.
Good day to you, guards. I was cast upon this island in a storm, and I'm a little confused about my location. Could you tell me what place this is and who lives in this castle?
Hey, what is that you say? A castaway? A likely story. We haven't had any foreigners in this part since Alhazred arrived.
Don't be so rude, Gruff. He's not asking for any secrets. You're standing on the Isle of the Crown, lad, and this is the Castle of the Crown. The royal family resides here. Rather, what's left of the royal family.
The Isle of the Crown? But tell me, am I anywhere near the land of the Green Isles?
This is the land of the Green Isles. The Isle of the Crown is the main island, foolish boy.
Then Princess Cassima must live in this very castle.
Aye, the princess is indeed our treasured jewel to guard, and we consider it an honor.
Excuse me, guardsmen, guard dogs. I've been traveling for months to see Princess Cassima. I would like an audience, please.
I'm sorry, but the princess is not receiving visitors, particularly not strangers.
Alexander is carrying a copper coin of Daventry. King Graham graces the front of the coin. Alexander's ring is made of the purest gold and has the insignia of the royal family of Daventry on its face. Alexander decides to show his royal insignia ring to the Castle of the Crown guards. With all of his papers lost in the shipwreck, it is the only possible calling card he can think of.
Good day. I'm Prince Alexander of Daventry. I'm an acquaintance of Princess Cassima. If you could just inform her that I'm here, please.
Yeah, so everyone says. Let me just look at that ring.
What does it say, Gruff?
Kingdom of Daventry, Prince Alexander. Wait here while I go see what Captain Saladin thinks of this.
The guard returns a moment later with a majestic-looking creature. Captain Saladin speaks with a voice that is gentle, but reflects a will of iron.
Prince Alexander of Daventry, I presume. I'm afraid I'm unfamiliar with your country, but I'm sure Vizier Alhazred will want to meet you, if indeed you are a friend of the princess. Please follow me. Lord Alhazred, a visitor to see you. Prince Alexander of Daventry.
What is it that you seek, Prince Alexander?
Pardon the intrusion, my lord, but I came to see Princess Cassima. Some months ago, my father, King Graham, saved my family and I from imprisonment under an evil wizard named Mordak.
The same wizard that kidnapped the princess?
Exactly. When my father rescued us, he also liberated Cassima and sent her home.
Then your father has my gratitude, and that of the entire kingdom. But I'm afraid I still fail to see the purpose of your visit.
Well, I came to make sure that Cassima arrived safely and to pay my respects. Before we parted, she gave me an invitation to visit.
I have no doubt she did exactly that at the time, Prince Alexander. However, Things have greatly changed for Cosima since her ordeal in Mordak's castle. Cosima's parents both became ill and died while she was gone. Cosima is sequestered in mourning for them as befits a princess. She is not receiving visitors of any kind. Even if she were, I do not think your visit would be appropriate. You see, it is time for Cosima to take her responsibilities seriously. With her parents gone, she no longer has the luxury to be a carefree maiden. As was her parents' wish, Cosima and I are to be wed. We shall rule the kingdom together. I assure you, our marriage is all Cosima wants now. As a prince and a gentleman, it would be best that you leave before there is any further embarrassment.
I see. I suppose that I was mistaken. I thought for certain that Cosima... Well, I apologize.
A young man sees what he wishes to see. I'm sorry you've wasted your time traveling to the land of the Green Isles. May your journey home be swift.
Perhaps I will take the opportunity to look around your fair land while I'm here.
I would advise against that. The kingdom is rather, shall we say, inhospitable these days. But it is your neck. You may risk it if you please. Captain Saladin will escort you from the castle. Good day.
You have had your hearing with Vizier Alhazred. I trust you will respect his wishes and not return. I have been instructed not to let you into the castle again. Good day, my lord.
Captain Saladin whispers something to the guard dogs at the castle gate, and they nod with understanding. Alexander has a feeling they won't be letting him into the castle again.
Please, if you'll only be reasonable. I really must see the princess.
Begone! You're not welcome at the castle, Prince Alexander of Daventry. We have our orders, and they are quite clear.
Please.
Begone!
The sign says Pawn Shop. The sign above the door says Ali's Books. The pawn shop window has the words Curios and Antiques painted on it. What an interesting looking shop. The village buildings are made of rough sandstone stucco. This one houses a pawn shop at the street level and features rough wooden supports accenting the roofline. Steps lead up to the shop door. A large round pot is one of the pottery pieces on display outside the shops.
Old lamps for new! Old lamps for new!
The village buildings are made of rough sandstone stucco. This one has a shop on the street level and a private dwelling up above. Steps lead up to the shop door. Alexander is standing on a sunny village street. There are open shops to his right, a hard-packed path beneath his feet, and palm trees waving over his head. To the north, a key-shaped arch leads to another part of the village. Windows face the street from living quarters above the bookstore. An old beggar is peddling his wares in the village. He offers a variety of lamps, all neatly lined up on a long pole.
Hello? Is anyone here?
No one answers Alexander's shouted greeting. Perhaps he should find someone specific to talk to.
Old lamps for new! Old lamps for new!
Alexander cannot reach the windows from here.
Good day, peddler.
Good day, sir. If you would like to get one of my fine new lamps, I'll need an old lamp in trade.
Isn't it a rather bad business? Taking old lamps and giving new lamps in exchange?
Well, there's always a chance that I'll find a genie. If I had a genie, I'd be richer than a king. Besides, there's always a roaring business in antique luminaries.
The peddler's pole provides convenient transportation of the lamp seller's wares. There are 6 new lamps on the pole. The man seems busy with his chores and isn't interested in Alexander.
Good day!
A worn leather wineskin is suspended from the ceiling. A strange-looking winged device occupies one corner of the room. It is frail with disuse. Alexander finds it intriguing. Perhaps he thinks it was once used in a local sporting event, in which enthusiasts jumped from cliffs, glided on air currents, and then attempted to land, frequently crunching a bone or two in the process. Alexander shudders at the thought and decides to stick to dragon slaying. Towering mightily over the other pawn shop curiosities, the stuffed bear makes an ostentatious display. The back wall of the shop holds various odds and ends. For example, a hull hole detector for finding those hard-to-spot holes in small sailboats. Cat cookie mix. Play tricks on your friends, the box says. A golden bridle finder for finding those nearly invisible golden bridles. Self-adhesive emeralds, what you use when you don't have honey. Tongue climbing gear, tested on over 100 whale tongues. A uvula tickler, guaranteed to make large mammals sneeze. A cheese hook for retrieving cheese out of small holes. A shovel that's guaranteed not to break for over 100 grave diggings. A bridge repair kit for when you've crossed a bridge one too many times. Stair traction pads. Stop slipping off those narrow staircases. A hull hole cat. A tall skeleton lends an air of mystery to the shop. A small red drum beats no more on the shelves of the pawn shop. An old suit of armor stands in the pawn shop. It looks like a vigilant guard against thieves and carpet salesmen, even though it is headless. The land of the Green Isles must have at least one inhabitant with interest in the mystical, for a crystal ball has been traded in along with the more common household goods. The pawn shop is a dimly lit place with a slightly musty smell. Curiosities litter every corner and every shelf. For sale are articles that range from the bizarre to the commonplace, from the priceless to the practical. Several half-burnt wax candles have been placed among the other pawn shop items. They probably light the shop at night. A helmet probably belonging to the headless armor also in the shop, has found its way to a separate part of the counter. The pawn shop's counter is made of a sturdy teak. The wood is well worn by eager hands and well oiled by the shop's faithful keeper. An elegant little glass dish decorates the countertop. The dish is full of green mints offered for the enjoyment of the customer. The pawn shop owner is a mysterious fellow. His face is old and inscrutable, and there's a glint of sheer iron in his gaze. Still, Alexander senses this is someone he can trust. The man of steel wields a long iron pike. Alexander takes a mint. The small green mint looks very tasty. Alexander takes a closer look at the items on the counter.
I see you have noticed my mechanical nightingale. She is made of plain tin, but she sings the sweetest song you can imagine, barely distinguishable from the real thing. The flute is only made of plain wood, but its notes are fine and true. Ah, yes, the painter's brush. It was well used by one of the island's best painters. There's a lot of creativity in that brush, and its bristles are still in good condition. Have you an interest in tinder boxes? This one is only slightly battered. It holds a good supply of flint, a sturdy striking pad, and even a candle in case you find yourself with naught else to hold the flame.
I took a mint.
Help yourself. That is what they are there for.
Alexander eats the mint. Not bad. A little stale, perhaps. Alexander takes a mint.
Good day, merchant. What can you tell me about the land of the Green Isles?
I can tell you she is in a dark time. Without the ferry, communication between the islands has ground to a halt, and so nearly has my business. Why the long ages of peace have ended, and why the crown has not done something about it is beyond me. But then, I am a shopkeeper, not a politician, and can only hope for better days.
How bide you, good merchant?
Quite well, though a purchase would not hurt me any.
Alexander takes...
I'm interested in that mechanical nightingale on the counter.
What do you desire to give me in trade? The items on the front counter are all of equally slight value, worth only a copper or two. They are handy items nonetheless.
I have this copper coin. Is it of any value to you at all?
Most interesting. I have never seen a Daventry coin before, but it is copper genuine enough. I might even find a buyer who is interested in foreign currency. The items on the front counter are the only things in the store that I can let go for the price of 1 copper. You may make your choice from there.
Alexander looks at the items on the counter to make his selection.
That mechanical nightingale looks intriguing. I believe I'll take it.
Very well. Your coin is well spent. Remember, this is a pawn shop. I am always willing to take back my own goods in trade.
I'll remember. Thank you.
Hello. I will be right up. Now, what can I do for you?
plaque bearing a merchant crest hangs over the doorway. The bookshop owner must be proud of his credentials. The window, partially blocked by the shop's overflow of books, gives a rather dusty view of the street outside. Alexander is standing in a cozy little shop. Books of every size and shape line the walls. A crackling fire in the fireplace completes the tranquil scene. A small fire burns in the fireplace despite the warmth of the day outside. Perhaps the bookshop owner simply finds it comforting. An old man occasionally steals sidelong glances at Alexander from under a concealing hood. The bookshop owner is a thin, middle-aged man. His intelligent eyes are slightly blurry from long nights spent reading by candlelight. A small fire burns in the fireplace despite the warmth of the day outside. Perhaps the bookshop owner simply finds it comforting. There's a small table near the door that bears a sign. The sign has undergone a number of changes. It once read 10 pence, but that was crossed out and replaced with 5 pence, then 1 pence, then free. The sign currently reads, "Take one, please." Only one book remains on the table. It looks like the bookshop owner really wants to get rid of that book. A well-padded leather chair, a small table, and a fuzzy rug have been arranged into a cheery reading area near the fire. There's a book entitled The Changing Role of Court Entertainers Through the Ages on the small table in the reading area. It appears that some regular customer likes that book. Alexander feels his pockets carefully to make sure he hasn't lost anything. The fireplace can provide Alexander. Alexander rests his feet for a moment. Alexander picks up and leafs idly through a book called The Changing Role of Court Entertainers Through the Ages. Well, that was refreshing. Alexander picks up the book from the small table.
Oh, yes, please, take that book. You have my most humble thanks for doing so, good sir.
Really? Thanks.
These shelves hold a collection of oddly titled guidebooks. Alexander notices such books as How to Become King with Little or No Rupees Down, Finding the Right Girl with the Right Dowry, and Why Good Princesses Like Bad Wizards. Volumes of poetry are on display on this bookshelf. Thinking of Cosima, Alexander decides to leaf through one of the volumes of love poetry. He reads, Thy hair, thy lips, thy beauteous face, and all thy studied female grace have won for thee anon a place within this broken breast. Not bad. And another. Upon the shore the lilies bend, untouched by worldly care, where shadow they her earthly bed, oh, that she were not there. Yikes. And another. What was it when I looked at you? What power has chained me through and through, and binds my heart with links so tight I cannot live without the sight of you? What nameless thing has captured me, and made me powerless to flee? What thing is it without a name that brings my mind e'er back the same to thee? The name of love cannot apply. Its commonness does not decry the haunted, hunted, painful cry that my heart makes for you, that e'er my soul eternal makes for you.
A little close to home, that one.
Alexander returns the love poem book to the shelf. Alexander picks up the fallen page. It's the love poem he particularly liked. It must have fallen out of the poetry book.
I see that old volume has lost another page. You may keep it if you like, sir. I have glued the stubborn thing back in place 2 times already.
I do rather like it. Thank you, merchant. Good day, sir.
The mysterious old man just ignores Alexander.
Good day, sir. I'm a stranger in this land. What can you tell me about the land of the Green Isles?
That is quite a question, young man. Who are you, and what would you have me tell you?
My name is Alexander. I know I am on the Isle of the Crown, but I'd like to know whatever you can tell me about this island, and if there are other islands nearby.
You are indeed a stranger. Anxious is the man who knows not the customs of the land beneath his feet. This island is called the Isle of the Crown, because the royal family's castle is here. Besides the castle, we also have this village, and the docks over to the west. There are at least 3 other islands. The Isle of the Sacred Mountain, the Isle of the Beast, and the Isle of Wonder.
At least 3? Does no one know for certain?
This is no ordinary land, Alexander. The land of the Green Isles has always been a place of vague boundaries, as if islands come and go. Legend speaks of a 4th island, an isle shrouded in mists. I myself have never seen it. Then, too, the land of the Green Isles is said to exist on the boundaries of this world and the next. Even darker places are reputed to be closer here than anywhere else in the world.
That's quite a claim.
Claim, yes, but probably just local superstition. We who live here on the Isle of the Crown, at least, sleep well enough at night.
Those first 3 islands you mentioned, how might I learn more about them?
Ideally, a young man seeking such knowledge would travel to their shores and learn about them firsthand. Meeting the leaders of each place would be helpful, naturally. Unfortunately, the ferry no longer runs between the islands. There has been much political unrest, and it has been too dangerous to travel for years. Perhaps the ferryman can tell you more. He has little enough to do these days. And if you haven't been there already, you might seek an audience at the castle.
Thank you kindly, merchant, for all your good advice.
Ah, but advice is free, Alexander. Making use of it costs much more.
An antique leather-bound book is displayed on a little stand on the counter. On the elaborate cover is the title, Ye Useful Book of Magic Spells.
How much for that book on the counter, merchant?
It is a fine book, is it not? I obtained it from the estate of the one and only magician this kingdom has ever had. Poofed himself into an aardvark in the end, or so I heard. I never found the spells all that useful myself, but then I lead a boring life. I tell you what, if you can find another rare book, something a bit more marketable, I might be willing to exchange the spell book for it.
Old lamps for new! Old lamps for new!
How fare you, peddler?
Lad, Have you an old lamp for me yet?
There's a young girl in the yard. The girl is dressed in a long, plain orange robe with a thick headdress. From the appearance of her clothes and from a skittish, fearful look about her, Alexander gets the strong impression that she is a servant, or even worse, a slave. The serving girl appears to be stealing a quiet moment tending the rose bushes.
You lazy thing! Get back to work and stay away from those roses! I've told you 1,000,000 times, those flowers are too sweet for the likes of you! You've still got to do the breakfast dishes, make lunch, and clean the stables yet this morning! And get your veil back on! No one wants to look at your face!
Yes, stepmother.
The windows of the stucco house have neither glass nor curtains, allowing full entry to the warm sea breeze. Alexander can't reach the windows of the stucco house. Alexander has not been invited to pick the family's roses. Red roses beautifully cover the top of the house's fence and gate arbor. Rocks abound on this lush volcanic isle. Alexander is standing on a dirt street leading through the village. To his right is a fine house with a private yard. The yard is surrounded by a gated fence and is full of red rose hedges. The street continues off to the northwest, from which direction Alexander can feel a light sea breeze. Palm trees, as graceful as gazelles, wave in the warm tropical breeze. Alexander is greeted with silence.
Hey, stranger, come join me. The water is wonderful, and I can show you the way to the next island.
Good day. I'm Alexander. What are you doing in the sea?
What does it look like I'm doing? I'm swimming. I mean, come join me. The water's wonderful. I can show you the way to the next island. Come on, jump in. A little water won't hurt you.
The waters in this cove appear calm, but there's a dimpling pattern to the surface which indicates an undertow.
What are you waiting for? I said I'd show you how to get to the next island, didn't I?
A young boy is happily swimming in the sea off the docks. That's strange. The young boy in the water just disappeared. Oh well, perhaps he just dove under the water. A worn wooden vessel has been dry docked on a jetty. The boat is in sad shape. A hole in the hull and the condition of its boards make it obvious that the vessel is no longer seaworthy. Alexander is standing at the island's docks. Both the pier and the only boat in sight are in sad repair. The boat does not reply.
Yeah, what do you want?
Alexander promises himself that he will not go home until he has determined what Casima's feelings are for him, and if she needs his help. Alexander
I said the ferry's out of business. What do you want to keep bothering me for?
The rope is slacking.
Excuse me. My name is Alexander. The owner of the bookshop in the village told me you might be able to help me. I hear you used to run this ferry for the islands. I'd like to talk to you if you have a moment.
You say old Allie sent you? I can't see why. The ferry's not running, you know.
I understand. I'd just like to talk to you about the islands if you don't mind.
Well, I guess it'd be all right if Allie sent you. Well, don't just stand there. Come on inside. What is it you wanted to talk about, young man?
Alexander is sitting inside the ferry's cabin. The place displays the neatness of a seaman and the sparseness of a bachelor. There are few frills and comforts in the rough wooden environment, but the sunlight shines cheerily on the oaken beams, and the portholes admit a pleasant breeze. Several oil lamps are strategically placed around the boat's cabin to illuminate the island's dark nights. The ferryman's bunk looks hard and uncomfortable. No wonder he can be so cranky. There's a rabbit's foot on the table. It seems the ferryman is counting on a little luck.
I see you have a rabbit's foot. Has it brought you much luck?
As you can see, my luck's been out for some time now, despite that old charm. Why don't you take it with you? Perhaps giving the darn thing away will bring me good fortune at last.
Perhaps it will at that. Thank you. I'm a visitor to these islands. I'd like to learn what I can about the area.
So you said outside. What is it you want to know?
Well, for one thing, why has the island's only ferry been dry docked?
It just ain't safe to sail these days. What with the islands feuding and all. Wazir Al-Hazred ordered the ferry closed till things settled down. Me, I don't think she'll ever see water again.
But why are the islands feuding?
You got me. Something about stolen property or some such thing. 'Tis a real shame. Things used to be so friendly.
Then this unrest is recent.
A few years is all, but it's been long enough.
Perhaps if the ferry were repaired.
This old thing? This ferry's been out of water so long she's no longer even seaworthy. Her boards have dry rot. She'd fall apart at the first taste of seawater.
But there must be some way to get off this island.
There's only one other way to travel that I know of. A magic map. The owner of the pawn shop can tell you more about that than I can, Alexander.
Tell me more about the ferry.
I remember when I used to ferry Queen Ilaria and Princess Casima themselves. There was no thought of danger back then. They used to go visiting to care for the needy and to keep up the friendly relations between the islands. I remember their last trip.
things had started getting nasty by then, and when they came back aboard, I gathered that the Queen and the Princess had been received a bit coldly. Princess Cassima was such a pretty thing, and she was terribly upset. But who could be spreading these lies, she asked the Queen, but the Queen had no answer.
What do you do now that the ferry no longer operates?
Me? I'm out of a job. The job my ancestors have held for generations. I'm the only one trained to avoid the reef and the rocks. But that knowledge does me no good now.
Is there no other boat on the island? One that might be more seaworthy?
Boats don't last long on these shoals, as you may have found out if you got here by ship. You can be quite sure that this old ferry is, or was, the only craft on the island.
Tell me more about Princess Cassima.
Ah, such a beautiful child, and so pure of heart. Why, a contrary thought has never crossed her mind. Her mother was the same. The king and queen. They served the islands, not the other way around. Always thinking about the people. Ah, they are sorely missed.
What else can you tell me about the land?
Let's see. The Isle of Wonder's a lovely spot. A bit crazy, mind you. Gotta have a good sense of humor to enjoy a tour there.
What else can you tell me about the land?
The Isle of the Beast is pretty, but unfortunately, you can't get very far onto the island.
What else can you tell me about the land?
The inhabitants of the Isle of the Sacred Mountain are the most gorgeous creatures you'll ever see. If you ever get to see them, that is.
What else can you tell me about the land?
The Castle of the Crown sure is a beauty. She's the finest palace ever built, I'll warrant.
What else can you tell me about the land?
Some say that the land of the Green Isles is near the edge of the world, and that the deadly currents are a result of a magnetism that sucks life from this world to the next. Of course, that's just silly talk.
What else can you tell me about the land?
Let's see.
Well, I think I'll be going now. Thanks for allowing me into your home.
Posh, not at all. It breaks the boredom, if you know what I mean.
Good day.
Good day, sir.
The old man just glares at Alexander and does not reply. Alexander decides to be friendly and offer the old man a mint.
Would you care for a mint, sir?
No, thank you. I'll get my own mint from the dish when I want one.
Excuse me, merchant, but the ferryman mentioned that you might have a magic map of the land of the Green Isles.
Why, as a matter of fact, I do. I keep it under the counter. It's been gathering dust so long that I nearly forgot about it. It was quite a few years ago, you see. The estate of a wealthy wizard fell into my hands when he died. It was useless magical junk mostly, which reminds me, I've still got some things of his in the back that I need to dump out. Anyway, the magic map was the one true treasure in the lot. The wizard was quite old and feeble and had enchanted the map to aid in traveling. It is said that one need only desire to be on an island depicted on the map to find oneself there. It is a very valuable map, as you can imagine. Unfortunately, no one is interested in traveling these days. It is far too dangerous with the current state of the kingdom.
What would you take for the map?
I would normally want something magic in return, but since I am hardly overrun with prospective buyers, I would be willing to take anything of equal value in exchange.
I took a mint.
Help.
Would you be interested in trading for this book?
I am afraid not. Books are more my neighbor's line of work. After all, I would not want him selling curiosities.
Would you be willing to take my family ring in exchange for the magic map?
Daventry, are you a king then?
No, that's my father, King Graham. I'm just Alexander.
Well, Prince Alex, she is a beautiful ring. Are you sure you can part with such a unique family heirloom?
The ring does mean a lot to me. I didn't always have a family, you know. Still, it is only gold. There are more important things at stake now.
Then you now own a magic map, Prince Alex. I will keep your ring out of sight for a few days. If you find anything else of great value in your travels, you can come back for your ring. I would hate to see it melted down for gold. Ah, and a warning about the map. It will only operate when you are out in the open and within sight of the sea. The limitation has something to do with the teleport spell ingredients. You might try the beach.
Thank you. You are very kind, and I'll remember about the map.
Suddenly, the old man in the concealing cloak sneaks past Alexander, and with a sneaky dart of his hand, steals a mint from the candy jar. The old man stuffs the mint into his mouth and wobbles unsteadily out of the pawn shop.
Master! I followed Prince Alexander as you wished. From the pawn shop owner, he just abstained, just reprieved. He just got a magic map. You fool! You've been eating those mints again. I ordered you to stop that. Yes, Master. Now, what is this about a magic map? With the map, Prince Alexander could travel anywhere as quickly as I can. I thought I took care of the only means of travel. By my scimitar, I can't have him stirring things up now. Get a hold of yourself and listen carefully, Shamir. Go to the other islands and tell them...
A nightingale perches on a high branch of the tree. She sings the most beautiful song Alexander has ever heard. Alexander can't reach the bird, and she doesn't seem interested in coming to a stranger.
Hello, Nightingale. What a lovely tune you sing.
The nightingale only looks at Alexander suspiciously and continues to sing. The mechanical nightingale is made of tin painted dreary shades of brown to match the coloring of a real nightingale. A small key emerges from its back. The rabbit's foot has long, soft fur. Alexander has a love poem from a book in the bookshop. Alexander is carrying a book from the bargain table in the bookshop. The magic map is made of thin leather and has lifelike drawings of the islands on its uneven surface. Alexander winds the mechanical nightingale and places it on the ground. The mechanical nightingale sings a sweet, tinny tune. The real nightingale in the tree cocks her head and listens intently. The nightingale flies to a lower branch and looks at Alexander curiously, as if she were deciding that this human might not be so bad. A large round pot is one of the pottery pieces on display outside the shops. Alexander sorts through the odds and ends that the pawn shop owner dumped into the pot. Magic exploding gum wrappers, a shattered crystal ball, a cracked wand, a fake thumb. Near the bottom, Alexander finds a little glass bottle labeled ink. It appears to be empty, but Alexander decides to take it anyway. You never know when a small bottle will come in handy. Alexander's carrying a little ink bottle. It appears to be empty. Alexander decides to open the empty ink bottle.
It's stuck. It's... Whoa! The ink bottle isn't empty at all. It's full of invisible ink. Not very strong, but not bad.
Alexander's carrying a little bottle of invisible ink. There's no reason to use that on the door. The door is just a plain door open to the public.
Good day, Prince Alexander.
I found this bottle in the pot outside.
That would make sense, since that is where I dumped it.
Alexander shows the object to the bird, hoping to interest her. It seems that the nightingale is no lover of the taste of peppermint. Alexander pulls out his magic map. A large island named the Isle of the Sacred Mountain dominates the north of the land of the Green Isles. There's a small island labeled Isle of the Beast on the east side of Alexander's map. According to the magic map, the Isle of Wonder is a comma-shaped island poised in the sea to the west. The Isle of the Crown lies at the south of the map. The map bears the title, The Land of the Green Isles. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation. There appears to be something etched into the face of the cliff. Alexander decides to get closer. Huge blocks of stone erupt from the granite cliffs. Alexander stares with wonder. That's quite a way to welcome a guest, if indeed it is a welcome. There's an ugly flower growing near the base of the cliff. Alexander notices an unusually large coal-black feather lying on the beach. Boulders emerging from the cliffs provide a tricky stairway to the top. Alexander picks the flower and is startled by its hideously strong skunk-like odor. For a moment he can smell nothing else. Alexander takes the feather. Colors of flame burst from the center of the incredibly stinky flower and drip onto its petals. The flower's appearance is as flamboyant as its smell. Alexander is carrying an unusually large black feather. The steps cannot be moved any further. Oh no! Alexander loses his balance.
Whoa! 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 Ow! Hey!
Oh no! Alexander loses his balance.
Whoa! 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 Ow! Hey!
Oh no! Alexander loses his balance.
Whoa! 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 Hey! Quit making me fall.
Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation. To the north, the island is dense with vegetation. Large craggy boulders lie on the beach as though pushed up from the sea by giant hands. A group of small boulders are pleasantly arranged near the oyster beds. Oyster beds line the seashore. Most of the oysters are sound asleep. One of the oysters is sitting up in bed and doesn't look very happy. He seems to be the only one who can't sleep. In the oyster's mouth, Alexander can see a glint of white. A string of letters floats in the water. The letters spell out, "Where are you going?" Alexander's heard of alphabet soup, but this is ridiculous. Alexander wades into the sea to get the strange object in the water. The ocean currents tug at Alexander's legs. That object is just a bit out of reach. Alexander picks up the object floating in the water. It appears to be a string of letters. They say, "Where are you going?" Alexander decides to keep the odd sentence, even though it is incomplete.
Why aren't you asleep like the other oysters?
Oh, I'm so weary, but I can't sleep. I have a terrible ache in my mouth.
What's wrong with your mouth?
No offense, but it hurts too much to talk.
If you're having trouble sleeping, perhaps you'd like me to read to you.
Hey, that would be great.
2 dulcimers raised to the degree of 40 half-dulcimers, divided into equal parts by the third of a cackle of grouse geese, put over the result of 10 fine mackles, albeit small fine mackles, stretched over the total of 53 1/8 bottles of wild beast lard.
Alexander sees nothing of interest on that part of the oyster.
Yields a gilded minnow of precise measurements, 2,069 centidrills by 3,023 6/7 puns, not punts, as might be expected. This is not to say, however, in any sense whatsoever, that deviations in mean temperature of 5 or 6 dregs or so.
Alexander makes a grab for the pearl.
Hey, you fixed my mouth. It feels great.
The little oyster drifts into peaceful slumber with the rest of his oyster friends. Alexander hears someone coming.
"5 fierce guards of the isle we be. Watch for a foreign man," said he, "with ears and nose, tongue, hands, and eyes. Its nature cannot be disguised. If mad it be, then mad it dies. Old Tom Troll, smell your smell. Do that which you do so well."
Alexander holds the flower of stench out to the gnome with the jumbo nose.
Tom Trow I am, that's all I'll be. My nose knows all on land and sea. A flower of stench has washed ashore. A flower 'tis all, and nothing more. Listen, hark you, broken oar, do your duty as you swore. With your ears, please tell us more.
Alexander winds the tin nightingale and plays it for the gnome with the monumental ears.
A nose is not a way to spy. My ears cannot be told a lie. A nightingale is all there be. No man is near, and so say me. Taste, Grump, that we might know whether friend or whether foe.
Alexander holds the mint out for the gnome with the gigantic mouth.
Grump knows a tasty treat. It matters not what others bleat. No danger is this one so sweet. Trilly dilly, use your hands. Is it beast or is it man?
Alexander holds the rabbit foot out for the gnome with the huge hands.
Be all you mad? What aileth thee? A bunny can't trill merrily. A hare does not at all taste sweet. A rabbit here is all we greet. Old ill batter, never fatter. Vision can resolve this matter. Look you now and end this chatter.
Alexander pours the contents of the empty-looking ink bottle over himself.
By all that's beauteous, fair, and sightly, 4 morons do I sleep with nightly. There's nothing there at all, I say. Enough of this. Let's now away.
Alexander did it! He's fooled the guards!
What do you think you're doing?
I'm sorry. I didn't realize these books had an owner. I'm in need of a rare book.
No owner? All books have owners, my good man. And this book owner, bookworm to you, wouldn't part with one of his books for anything.
Isn't there something I can do for you to pay for the book?
Let's see. Do you have an itinerant clause?
No. No clauses at all, I'm afraid.
As an exception, you always should.
Don't mind oxymoron and diphthong. They're fairly limited grammatical principles, you know. Let's see. A marsh pig that does Texas?
No. I'm afraid not.
A dangling participle?
I'm fresh out.
A purple fiddle whacker?
No, I don't think so. Sorry.
An idiosyncrasy, perhaps?
Afraid not.
Huh! Then what good are you?
Alexander is carrying, oddly enough, a sentence. It says, "Where are you going?" The flawless pearl is the largest Alexander's ever seen. There's no reason to use...
Do you have anything interesting yet?
A regular abnormality?
Let me see what I have. I have a sentence. Would that do?
An incomplete one, I suppose.
Why, actually, it is incomplete.
Just as I suspected. Incomplete sentences are a dime a dozen. Why, you can literally just find them floating about. Complete sentences. Ooh, now there's something that's hard to come by these days.
I see. Sorry.
Wow. Hiya, gorgeous. What a luscious-looking hunk of flesh you are.
Thank you, I guess. Who are you?
How charming of you to pretend not to know. I'm Black Widow, of course. The femme fatale of all femme fatales. Know what I mean? You know, I was just thinking it was time I found my 50th, another husband. It would be quite a an honor to have me as a bride. Just look at my beautiful weaving. It's so light, so delicate. You'll never want to leave my little nest.
It is a lovely web, but my heart is elsewhere, I'm afraid.
Oh, drat! I mean, the loss is yours. I'm sure you'll change your mind once you consider the advantages.
A black widow is sitting in her web. She has long legs and an hourglass on her belly. She gives Alexander a knowing look.
That scrap of paper blew into my web from those books over there. The wind just thinks it can deposit anything here.
A thread is hanging from the otherwise tightly woven web.
Have you changed your mind? My offer of wedlock is still open. Hey, don't touch that thread!
Alexander snatches the scrap of parchment, curious to see what's written on it. The wind blows the scrap of paper from Alexander's hand, but he remembers what it said well enough. A stick is stuck in the middle of the swamp. A mushy swamp lies just off the path. It doesn't look like very good swimming. The fallen log has a good-sized knot or bump. A large tree stretches knotted limbs out over the swamp. Part of the tree's trunk is shaped like the face of a dog. Why, it must be a dogwood tree. Milkweed thrives near the mucky swamp. Small bottles filled with milk grow on it like fruit. Alexander takes a bottle of milk from the milkweed bush. Apparently, the dogwood tree doesn't like Alexander standing that close. Alexander can't reach the Alexander sees no point in trying to talk to that stick in the swamp. That bump on the log does not look particularly conversational to Alexander. A curiously speckled gate marks one end of the garden. Unless Alexander is mistaken, those plants must be baby's tears. Vines of sweet ripening tomatoes climb up little wooden posts. Is that lettuce growing in the garden? It looks a little chilled. Why, it must be iceberg lettuce. The wallflowers look terribly shy. There appears to be a hole in the garden wall. Through the hole in the wall, Alexander sees a land that resembles a giant chessboard. Wow, it really is a hole in the wall. Zounds, those wallflowers sure are shy, and the snapdragons are awfully protective of them. Alexander can't even get close to the wallflowers without causing quite a stir. Alexander would love to sit a spell, but he's a tad busy at the moment. A colorful array of snapdragons stand guard to one side of the path. Clinging vines climb the garden wall. To the right of the path is a little coffee table. Alexander is standing in a delectable garden. Nestled in the bright green grass are colorful plants growing in orderly clusters. Some of their curious faces peer up at Alexander from the sides of the path. The garden ends at a speckled gate. Alexander takes a close look at the tomato on the ground. It appears to be darker than those on the vines.
What are you staring at there, boy? Go away, you rootless thing, you! Yeah!
Yep, that tomato is definitely rotten.
How did you manage to fall off the vine, Mr. Tomato?
What do you think? I'm old, I'm rotten! Yeah! Leave me alone!
If you say so.
After all, you're just gonna let me sit here and rot on this dry ground like everybody else, aren't you?
Why, I don't know. I suppose...
Ah, never mind! Just go away! Ah! Hey! What do you think you're doing there? Get your hands off me! Hey!
Alexander picks up rotten tomato and puts him away. One never knows when one will need a rotten tomato.
What do you think you're doing there? Get your hands off me! Hey!
Alexander picks up Rotten Tomato and puts him away.
Where were you born? A barn? It's a pigsty back here. Yeah! All this stuff you got. What do you want to carry all this trash around for? You're ugly and you smell bad. Yeah! Put me down before I juice all over you. What do you want from me? A recitation or something? Leave me alone! Yeah! Where were you born? A barn? It's a pigsty back here. Yeah! All this stuff you got. What do you want to carry all...
Alexander is standing at the edge of a strange land with rolling checkered hills. Two chessboard knights stand before the marble entrance, guarding a path which wanders like a ribbon into the velvety hills. A noble white chess knight stands at the top of the marble stairs. A red chess knight stands at the top of the marble steps. The entrance to chessboard land consists of a stepped marble bridge with astonished-looking pillars.
Excuse me, what land lies beyond?
What land? Chessboard land, you knave!
I see. And is chessboard land part of the land of the Green Isles?
It is the home of the red and white queens, rulers of the Isle of Wonder, fairest of the islands that owe loyalty to the king of the land of the Green Isles. But perhaps not for long.
What do you mean?
What is the purpose of unity with the great king and queen dead? The princess is worth serving, but the feud with the other isles is strong.
I must insist, Your Highness. I shall send the lump of coal to the Vizier and the Princess as a present for their wedding, and that's the end of it.
And I suppose you'll leave me with only this stupid spoiled egg to send, Your Highness. I want to impress the new king and queen of the realm as much as you do. As queen of this island, I have every right to that lump of coal.
Who isn't queen of this isle? The lump of coal is in my possession. Therefore, I shall do as I please with it. Besides, there's nothing wrong with that spoiled egg.
The egg, though delightfully spoiled, is not nearly so valuable as the lump of coal, and you know it. Your Highness always got to carry the singing stone. It's not fair that you get the coal, too.
That doesn't count. The singing stone was stolen by that horrid beast. I should get to keep the coal just because my stone was stolen.
It wasn't your stone. It belonged to the Isle of Wonder treasury. Your Highness always thinks that everything is hers.
Excuse me, my good man, but could you settle an argument for us?
Which of us should get to carry the coal and which the egg? Remember,
White is the color of deserving truth and virtue. Quiet, your highness, and let him make up his own mind. I, for one, shall be more proper, and not even mention the fact that red is the color of love.
I'm sorry, Your Majesties. I'm partial to both red and white, but I'm afraid that I don't know how to solve your problem. One of you will just have to be gracious and allow the other the lump of coal.
What a ridiculously stupid idea.
Quite ludicrous.
He was a lot of help, wasn't he?
Oh, yes. Obviously a man of high intelligence. The lump of coal goes much better with my gown anyway. Black and red are imperial colors.
That's the silliest thing I ever heard. Red does not go with anything, being much too self-conscious. White is the perfect accompaniment to any color.
Alexander picks up the Red Queen's scarf. The scarf is made of red silk.
I found a red scarf. I believe the Red Queen dropped it.
The Red Queen is always dropping her scarves. She thinks it's fashionable. Keep it, and consider yourself honored.
Can I pass into your fair land?
Heavens, no! No humans allowed in chessboard land. Never have been, never will be.
Alexander picks a head of iceberg lettuce.
Ye gads! Is that cold?
Alexander is carrying a full head of a queer-looking lettuce made of ice. The lettuce is rapidly melting. Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation. A pond lies across the path. The water boils as if over some magical flame. Alexander is carrying a full head of a queer-looking lettuce made of ice. The lettuce is rapidly melting. Hoping to cool down the boiling pond, Alexander throws in a head of iceberg lettuce. The pond's water slowly stops boiling, cooled by the ice. It still looks hot, but bearable. Alexander decides to brave the steaming pond.
Ouch! Ow! Ooh, 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 ouch!
The pond is no longer boiling, but it's hardly bathwater. Alexander takes the old hunter's lamp from the tree. Alexander is carrying an old, battered hunter's lamp. The lamp is empty. As Alexander continues down the path, he gets the strange feeling that he's being watched.
Come on over here and see what I'm doing with these flowers. Never mind that stone fella on top of the gate. He won't hurt you any. He's just there to scare you.
I'm Alexander of Daventry. Who are you?
What difference does it make? Just come on over here. I'll tell you my life history if you still want to hear it.
Tell me.
If it's conversation you want, just come on over here. I'll talk your ears off if we can sit down and talk face to face. Come on through, I say. I can show you a path through the forest.
A stone archer sits atop the lintel of the gate like a silent guardian. His stone bow is tightly drawn and fitted with a single stone arrow. The statue to the left of the gate shows a man kneeling down with his spear as though waiting for a target.
You aren't going to listen to me, are you? Well, we'll just see about that.
That's odd. The gardener just disappeared. There's an odd little creature dangling from that tree branch.
Hello, friend. Aren't you an odd-looking little fellow?
I'm not. Odd-looking you are.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you could speak.
Speak not. Funny is, speech I am and nothing but.
You speak strangely, friend.
Strange, my speech is not. Eloquence I speak with.
But who are you? And why are you here?
Away I fly my home from. Lost I am, therefore. As my name, too, can you guess not? It's what I do this branch with, and the way I speak of.
If you're lost, perhaps I can take you home.
Take me home, too? Think not I do. Know you I do not.
Are you sure you don't want me to try to find your home?
Trust you I do not. Stay here I will.
Are you sure you don't...
Alexander holds the sentence out to the creature.
This sentence seems in need of an ending. Perhaps you could finish it?
Where are you going? Where are you going? Know what I do? Where are you going to? Like you I do. Go I with you.
Well, that was certainly interesting. It looks like Alexander now has a passenger. One end of the creature resembles a miniature dragon, while the other looks like a possum. What a strange-looking fellow.
Take me home to. Take me home to.
A little fawn is feeding on a grassy hillock near the sea. Tall, narrow trees abound on each side of the path. Nearby, the stump of a fallen tree still spreads its roots to the sea. Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation.
Hello, Bookworm. I have something you might be interested in.
Well, what is it this time?
I found this little fellow lost on another island.
Coming home I am too.
There you are, you naughty boy. I told you not to leave the island.
Glad I am seeing you too.
A most solemn celebration.
So, you found my dangling participle. I suppose I'll have to give you something. Let's see now. Was it a rare book you wanted?
Yes, sir.
Well, then none of these will do. They've been sitting in the sun far too long and must be well cooked by now. This one is far more rare. A delicious little tidbit.
Thanks.
Alexander is carrying a rare book from the bookworm. The words in the binding are very faint. The something riddle book. Alexander opens the rare book and looks inside. The book contains riddles and has a page missing. Alexander glances at a few of the conundrums, but finds himself more curious about the one that is missing. What was the riddle, he wonders? More importantly, what was the answer? There's no reason to use that on a pile of books. There's no reason to use. Alexander sees no use for that. Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation.
Your candy dish is empty.
I am sorry, sir, but I have no more mints. Somebody has eaten them all.
Well, get some more then.
I fear that is impossible. Without the ferry, I can no longer get imports from the other islands, and we do not grow mint extract on the Isle of the Crown.
Oh, I hate not getting what I want.
The mint dish is empty. The pawnshop owner doesn't look like a man to be tussled with. The curiosities business is just dangerous enough to require one to develop one's boxing skills.
How fare you, good merchant?
I could use more business, if the truth be known.
How fare you, good merchant?
Thankfully, I fare better than my business. My shop is as silent as the moon these days.
How fare you, good merchant?
I cannot complain. I hope your travels are treating you well, Prince Alex.
How fare you, good merchant?
Thankfully,
Would you mind if I traded this in?
Of course, Prince Alex. Please, choose something in exchange for the items on the counter.
Alexander looks closely at the items on the counter to make his selection.
I'll take the flute.
The flute? Very good, Prince Alex. May its music always be sweet. Feel free to trade it back at any time.
Thank you.
There's no point in using an object on itself. Alexander is carrying an old, battered hunter's lamp. The lamp is empty. The glass bottle is full of milk. How strange for a plant to produce not only milk, but a container to go with it. The little flute is carved from a single piece of wood and has tiny finger holes on the shaft. Alexander plays a lovely little tune on the flute. Alexander drinks the milk and discards the bottle. Yum.
I found this large pearl. Might it be valuable enough to ransom back my family ring?
I have never seen such a perfect pearl. Certainly you can have your ring back.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't sell it. I'm a bit attached to it, I'm afraid.
Of course you are. You would be cold-hearted if you felt any differently. I am happy to see a family heirloom back with its rightful owner.
Hello. I will be right up. Now, what can I do for you?
An odd-looking man is reading in the stuffed chair. He wears a vest, balloon-style pants, and pointed shoes. There's something deliberately silly about the man, as though he were a performer of some sort.
Good day, sir. Is there anything you can tell me about the land of the Green Isles?
I'm sorry, but I have no time for idle conversation. I'm too worried about the princess.
Determined to learn more about the strange man's relationship with the princess, Alexander shows the man his insignia ring and formally introduces himself.
I'm sorry to insist, but my name is Alexander of Daventry, and...
I appreciate the offer of the ring, Alexander, but I'm afraid I'm already spoken. Daventry? Where have I heard of Daventry? Flying flit mice. You must be Prince Alexander. Cosima told me about you when she arrived home. How came you here?
Why, by a ship now wrecked upon the sand. But you know Cosima? She truly spoke of me?
Yes, I saw her briefly when she first returned home. She mentioned a prince to me, the Prince Alexander of Daventry. I'm afraid that was before she was told about her parents' deaths. You see, she arrived home a few weeks too late. The king and queen thought they'd never see her again. It is said they died of heartbreak. I'm afraid she's blamed herself.
What a terrible homecoming. If we had only known.
Terrible indeed, poor thing. Everyone in the kingdom seems to despair with her these days. The streets are silent.
Where is she now?
The princess is sequestered in mourning. It's a rather dated tradition, and not required, but the Wazir says she insisted out of respect.
I see. You've yet to say who you are, and how you know the princess.
I? Oh, pardon me. My name is Jalo. I am clown to the royal court, and have been since the marriage of Cosima's parents, King Caliphim and Queen Alaria. Oh, those were the happy days. The pair of them were so full of joy and life, so in love. And Cosima's birth. It would be hard to explain how long they had waited, how they had hoped for a child. I mean, she was such a charming little thing, smart as a whip, kind and sweet. Oh, she means everything to this kingdom, Alexander, and to me. I'm so terribly worried about her.
About her grief over her parents, you mean?
Well, the truth is, I do not trust the Wazir or his plans for Cosima. I'm still living at the Castle of the Crown as court clown, his clown. But it is more to keep my ear to the ground than out of loyalty. I wish I knew what the princess thinks these days. If only I could find Sing Sing, Cosima's pet nightingale. I might be able to send the princess a message. As it is, I must wait for the end of her seclusion.
What can you tell me about the Wazir?
The Wazir? Now there's a dangerous subject. His name is Abdul Al-Hazred. He came to the kingdom 15 years ago. The king was fascinated by his knowledge and his fine-sounding ideas. It didn't take long for Al-Hazred to convince the king to trust him with the minor problems of daily government. You see, Caliphim had a wife and a new daughter he wanted to spend time with. Al-Hazred became Wazir.
And now?
Well, he's had his eye on Cosima ever since she was a young girl. And she is the only thing between him and the throne.
Do you think he means to harm her?
Oh, I honestly don't know. I think he'd rather keep her as wife. But whatever his plans for the princess, he will use her to his best advantage. That's his way.
Perhaps he has charmed her. Perhaps she cares for him now.
The Wazir is capable of anything. And Cosima must be vulnerable and lonely right now. Still, she has always instinctively distrusted him. Cosima has a good head on her shoulders. I'd be surprised if she's truly fallen for his words of love. Now I must return to the castle. Look, I don't want to arouse suspicion. I'll try to meet you here again later.
Thank you for the information, Jalo. Be very careful. I found this rare book, and I thought of your offer.
Very interesting. Oh, it is a wonderful riddle book. Riddles are much more marketable than spells these days. I guess people believe more in mirth than in magic. Here is the spell book you wanted, and a fair trade it is, I must say. Enjoy it.
I certainly hope so. We shall see how rusty my spellcasting truly is.
Alexander is carrying a book from the bookshop. The cover says, Ye Old Spell Book. This is the last page. This is the first page. This is the Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation. Alexander takes a bottle of milk from the milkweed bush. Apparently, the dogwood tree doesn't like Alexander standing that close. Alexander drinks the milk and discards the bottle. Yum. Alexander takes a bottle of milk from the milkweed bush. Apparently, the dogwood tree doesn't like Alexander standing that close. Alexander takes the teacup. The little china teacup is made of fine porcelain. The teacup is empty. Alexander gives one of the baby's tears a bottle of milk. The other baby's tears seem to resent Alexander's gift for some reason. There's no reason to use that in the lamp. Alexander collects some of the baby's tears in the old hunter's lamp. What a grip! The baby is not at all willing to let go of that milk bottle. Alexander decides to pick up the hole in the wall. A hole in the wall could be a very useful thing. Alexander startled the poor thing. It's run off to hide behind the wallflowers. The wallflowers, overcome with shyness at Alexander's approach, cluster together and cover the hole in the wall. Alexander can't get it.
Good day, Snapdragons.
The snapdragons don't seem inclined to communicate with anyone.
Greetings, ladies. How charming you look today.
The wallflowers are too shy to talk to Alexander.
Don't be afraid. I won't hurt you.
The hole in the wall does not respond to Alexander's soothing voice. Perhaps it's going in one ear and out the other.
Excuse me, lettuce.
The lettuce just gives Alexander the cold shoulder.
Good day, tomato vines.
Good morning.
Good day.
Good morning.
Hello. Aren't you a bunch of fine-looking young plants?
Goo gaga.
Apparently, the baby's tears haven't learned to talk yet.
May I have this dance?
Oh, my.
Alexander stops playing the flute, but the wallflowers and snapdragons continue to dance, caught up in the music and oblivious to everything around them. While the wallflowers dance, Alexander snatches the hole in the wall. The hole in the wall has 4 legs and a curly tail. He's all limbs with only a hole for a body. But that doesn't make him any less whole. A bit of the wallflower's shyness seems to have rubbed off on the hole in the wall, for he remains mute.
What do you think you're doing?
You startled me. I was just getting some swamp ooze.
Well, you certainly won't get it there! That's not swamp ooze! That's swamp muck!
He's right, you know. But he could be a little nicer about telling you. He's not a very pleasant stick in the mud.
Nobody asked you! Be quiet!
Oh, the trials of being a mere bump on a log.
swamp gurgled.
Perhaps you could toss me some swamp ooze, since you seem to be able to recognize it. I can only reach this bit by the path.
Well, hoity-toity, look who's Mr. Wants so much! You think I got a job here passing around precious swamp matter? You should be so lucky! He's an utter waste of oxygen. I'd save my breath if I were you.
The log itself has...
Who are you?
I'm Bump on a Log, and that's my brother, Stick in the Mud. We've had this thing about each other ever since our childhood. Mom always liked me best. She did not! That is absolutely not true! He's a bit lazy, you see. He's got the only swamp ooze in the swamp right next to him. But do you think he'd move a finger to help you get some? Hardly. He'd try to brain you with it more than likely. His temper's about the only thing that ever gets a workout, and that on yours truly. Oh, like you've moved at all in the last century! Like you're Mr. Physical Activity! Just because I can't reach anything, he thinks he can throw gushy swamp matter at me and just say whatever he likes. If only I could turn the tables on that heckler, he might learn some respect. But as you can see, I'm a mere bump on a log, and must be content with my lot. Oh, shut up! You couldn't hit the broadside of a barn even if you had something to throw! Just shut up! You see how he is?
The little china teacup is made of fine porcelain. The teacup is empty. There's no reason to leave that lying about on a log.
I thought this might come in handy the next time your brother starts picking on you.
Aha! Finally, old Bump on the Log's not so defenseless, is he? Hey! Hey! What you doing there? Watch the pulp, would you? Now, Bumpy! Remember all I've given you! The only thing you've ever given me is mud! Take this! No! Not into the swamp! Hey, okay, I give up. Jeez, sorry. Well, I guess it's not very pleasant having things thrown at you. I'm sorry. You mean it? Really? Brother. Brother.
Stick in the Mud and Bump on a Log, exhausted from the battle, immediately doze off into naps. Rotten Tomato, being equally lazy, decides to join them. A glob of swamp ooze, tossed during the brotherly fight, has landed on the log. Alexander fills the teacup with the swamp ooze. The glob of swamp ooze. The log itself has the glob. Alexander doesn't need the log itself. The log, the log, the glob, the glob, the glob. The cranky stick in the mud is sleeping now, and waking him up would be rather pointless. The swamp gurgled.
How are you finding your new surroundings, Rotten... Mr. Tomato?
Can't you see I'm snoozing? All right, you done good. Now, go play in the street or something. Yeah.
Alexander takes a bottle of milk from the milkweed bush. Apparently, the dogwood tree doesn't like Alexander standing that close. Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation.
Good day, Prince Alexander.
Would you mind if I traded this in?
Of course, Prince Alex. Please, choose something in exchange for the items on the counter.
Alexander looks closely at the items on the counter to make his selection.
I believe I'll take the tinderbox.
Very good, Prince Alex. Enjoy your tinderbox and bring it back anytime.
Thank you.
Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation. Small speckles of sand stand out against the otherwise gray brick. The pawn shop's tinderbox is slightly battered, but in reasonably good shape. The tinderbox contains a candle, as well as some flint and tinder. The steps cannot be moved. Alexander examines the strange etchings in the face of the cliff. The stone beneath Alexander's feet trembles as more steps emerge from the granite cliffs. Alexander examines the strange etchings in the face of the cliff. Alexander gets the feeling Alexander examines the stone beneath Alexander's feet trembles as more steps emerge from the granite cliffs. Alexander examines the strange etchings in the face of the cliff. The stone beneath Alexander's feet trembles as more steps emerge from the granite cliffs. The steps cannot be Alexander examines the strange etchings in the face of the cliff. The stone beneath Alexander's feet trembles as more steps emerge from the granite cliffs. Alexander finds himself, finally, at the top of the cliffs. Exhausted, he steps over the lip of the plateau and stands.
Why do you make such an effort to climb the cliffs, young man? The winged ones who live on this island have the power of flight. You could have it too, if you'd only eat a berry from this magical flying nightshade bush. See? The sweet berries will make you float like a petal on the wind. Try some.
But who are you, matron?
Who cares? I mean, I am only a poor old woman who wishes you well, handsome stranger. Think of me as your grandmama, if you like.
How can this plant give the power of flight?
Listen, son, I'll be happy to answer any questions you like, but only if you at least taste these delicious berries. Young man, you offend me! I try to help you and you insist on being rude!
How can this plant give...
Listen, son, I'll be happy to answer any questions you like, but only if you at least taste these delicious berries.
Huge doors are set into the solid rock of the mountain.
All right then, stay tied to the ground like a load of lead. See if I care. You human.
How odd. The old woman just disappeared in a cloud of smoke. Perhaps those berries are even more powerful than she led Alexander to believe. There's nothing to... Alexander crawls through the small opening in the rock. Alexander finds himself in a dark cave. Alexander takes the candle from his tinderbox and uses the flint in the box to light it. Alexander crawls through the opening in the rock. The lighting in this part of the cave is better. Alexander extinguishes the candle's flame and places it back in his pack. Alexander takes a few leaves from the plant. As he does so, a strong smell of peppermint is released. Ah! Alexander crawls back into the first room of the cave. Alexander can't see a thing. Alexander crawls back through the passage to the top of the cliffs.
Look, an intruder! Hold! How did you get up here, human?
I climbed the cliffs.
That is not possible. No one has solved the cliffs of logic in several centuries. And if the cliffs were to be solved, it would certainly not be by a human.
I didn't mean to trespass. I only wanted to visit this beautiful island.
No visitors have been welcome on the Isle of the Sacred Mountain in years. Not since the Red and White Queens had spies in the guise of friendly visitors steal our island's sacred golden fleece. But we will not display such foolish trust again. You will have to answer to Lord Azure and Lady Ariel. They will determine what will be done with you. I can assure you, it will not be pleasant.
With what trickery did you master the cliffs of logic and reach the city of the Winged Ones?
Only the magic of clear thought, my lord. I meant no harm.
The cliffs of logic. It is the sacred oracle's prophecy, Azure.
Yes, Ariel. It is lucky for you, human, that climbing the cliffs of logic is part of a prophecy that I cannot ignore. We have just been ordered by Wazir Al-Hazred himself to dispose of any strangers that might land on our fair isle. But the prophecy would have a different fate befall you.
The prophecy predicts that whosoever climbs the cliffs of logic will defeat the Minotaur. The Minotaur has violated our sacred catacombs and eats our young in sacrifice. Our own daughter, Lady Celeste, was taken there only this morning as his most recently demanded offering.
A dilemma, then. Whom shall I obey in regards to your fate, the oracle or the crown? But since Al-Hazred did not dictate how I was to dispose of intruders, and since you cannot possibly survive the catacombs, your imprisonment there should serve both purposes quite admirably.
I will not resist you in this, my lord. I shall do my best to save your daughter.
First, I must tell you that the catacombs are a labyrinth of rooms, a place of exceeding danger. You will need many tools and clear wits to survive it.
I am ready.
Very well. My guards will take you there now. You seem courageous enough, but the catacombs will determine how brave you really are.
Why did you tell Lord Azure you were ready and willing to face the catacombs? No one is ever ready, and only a fool could be willing.
And you are far wiser, I suppose, to leave a maiden to die? To not fight this plague on your own people?
Bravery and suicide are two different things, human. You will have a chance to renounce your choice soon enough, when you lay trembling under the Minotaur's hooves.
We shall see. Thanks for the escort.
We only escort you to your death. May the fates make it quick so that you do not have to scream long.
The catacomb's entrance door is locked from the outside by the Winged One's guards. It seems that leaving the catacombs by that door is not an option. Alexander picks up the skull. The remains of several unfortunate souls haunt the room. These bones seem more recent than the ancient catacomb bones that Alexander has seen so far. Perhaps they were victims of the Minotaur, or perhaps they died while wandering lost in the maze. 3 of the skeletons are completely intact. Alexander feels the tile he's standing on shift beneath his feet.
Uh-oh!
Tickets only. Next.
3 spikes and you're out. Alexander hears the distant sounds of a wild animal somewhere in the maze of rooms. Alexander takes the shield from the wall. Alexander finds 2 coins on the skeleton's eyes. He takes the old coins. The otherwise plain wooden shield is embellished with a silver cross. The scarf is made of red silk. Alexander is carrying a human skull. The 2 coins from the skeleton in the catacombs are extremely old and corroded. The peppermint leaves are the color of dark emeralds. It's a trap. The doors have sealed Alexander inside. And the ceiling is coming down. Alexander can't reason with the ceiling. Alexander is standing in a trap room with a crushing ceiling, and the ceiling is descending fast. Alexander can't stop the ceiling with his bare hands. Alexander's hands would be crushed to pieces in those gears. He can't stop them with his bare hands. The doors have been sealed shut. Alexander doesn't have time to try to force them open. In a desperate move, Alexander throws a brick into the grinding gears. The brick is caught between 2 cogs. The gears shriek and shudder. The mechanism grinds to a halt. The ceiling is stuck. The trap is sprung. Even if Alexander wanted to retrieve the brick, he'd be unable to get it out of the cogs now. It's tightly wedged in place.
Sounds! A trap floor!
Alexander seems to have fallen to a lower level of the catacombs. Wherever he is, the place sure is dark. Alexander can't even see his hand in front of his face. Alexander takes the candle from his tinderbox and uses the flint in the box to light it.
Aha! So that's why it's dark in here. A torch is out.
Alexander lights the extinguished torch and puts his tinderbox away. Alexander hears the sound of a wild beast again, this time so loud that the creature itself seems to be in the same room with him. The noises are coming from the other side of the east wall. Alexander puts the hole in the wall on the east wall. The hole in the wall trembles slightly with dread at the clammy feeling of the stones. Alexander peers through the hole in the wall and sees just another room in the catacombs. Aha! Not just another room at all. So that's why Alexander couldn't find the Minotaur's lair. At least Alexander now knows the lair exists, somewhere in the maze on the other side of this wall. While Alexander contemplates what he's just seen, the hole in the wall, frightened by the Minotaur, makes a run for it. Alexander hopes the little creature finds its way home to the Isle of Wonder. Alexander hears a low growling, so faint as to seem born of his fired imagination rather than of any living creature. Somewhere, far off into the catacombs, the sounds of hooves faintly echo. Niches in the wall form stone burial beds. Ancient bones lie crumbling on the unyielding rock. A very beautiful, very dusty tapestry hangs on the wall.
This tapestry looks familiar. Now let's see. I don't feel anything. Aha! A hidden latch.
Alexander triggers the little latch. A secret door rolls open.
No! I beg of you! Please don't hurt me!
Your struggles are useless.
It's the Minotaur, and he's struggling with a Winged One's girl. She must be Lady Celeste. Alexander steps forward, determined to use anything at hand to save the girl. But before he can do anything...
You there! Human! Help me! Help!
Who dares enter my lair?
I ask you to release your captive or suffer the consequences.
Never. You die, human.
As the Minotaur advances in attack, Alexander slowly backs away. Until he can back away no more.
Now where to, little man?
Alexander, his back inches from the fiery pit, tempts the Minotaur with the Red Queen's scarf.
Look here, you bully! Nice, bright red.
Red. Now you die!
The Minotaur drops from sight amidst the consuming flames. Slowly, his scream fades as well.
Have you been harmed, Lady Celeste? Are you all right?
No, I am not all right. I assume you do not intend to leave me tied up on this vile monstrosity.
Of course not. Sorry, let's see. If you'll give me a moment, I'll have these untied in no time.
I can't wait that long. Look, I wear a small dagger just inside my belt. It should be enough to cut the rope.
Oh, all right. I've got it, Lady Celeste. Here we go.
Thank you. You may keep the dagger as a gift for saving my life.
That's very generous.
Forget it. Do you mind if we just get out of here now?
The Winged One's guards, bored with the pointless waiting, are startled by the sound of rock moving against rock.
Lady Celeste, bide thee well.
I'm quite well, thanks to the bravery of a mere human.
So much for your superior intellect.
Yes, milady.
Now bring him along. I'm going home.
I see you have proven yourself the hero of the prophecy. Well, I am expected to thank you for saving my daughter's life, so I thank you. I am obliged to thank you for the restoration of our sacred catacombs. It means much to our people. We have already begun the process of clearing the deadly traps from its rooms. It is also my duty to grant you a visit with the Oracle, so this I do. I will grant you the freedom to leave here unharmed, despite my orders to the contrary from the Crown. But there, my obligations to you end. I have no love for Alhazred, but he is my liege, and if Princess Cassima trusts him and wishes to wed him, my guards will take you to the Oracle now. When your time with her is through, I want you to leave the city of the Winged Ones and never return. I don't know who you are or what you want here, but I will not disobey my crown further.
I thank you, Lord Azure. I will respect your wishes.
Hail to thee, great oracle. Lord Azure sends you this wingless mail. It appears that he solved the cliffs of logic and...
defeated the Minotaur in his lair. So I have seen. So this is the one that haunts my pool of late. Welcome, young seeker. What knowledge do you desire?
Princess Cassima, whatever you can tell me, great oracle.
Ah, of course, the princess. That explains my images. Let us see what we can see. I see a maiden, lovely and pure, but surrounded by evil. She is a rose set amidst bitter thorns. It is her fate to be the pawn of dark powers, and yours to try to redeem her.
How? How do I redeem her?
Fate is not like the cut of a blade, young one, but rather like the myriad of paths formed when a hammer cracks ice. I will tell you what I can, but what will actually come to pass is up to you. I see that any attempt to reach the girl will force you into battle, a struggle against a dark force. If you lose, your life will be forfeit.
Who must I fight?
A great darkness surrounds your adversary, preventing me from seeing clearly. I can only make out the shape of a black cloak. But before this final struggle, I see an infiltration, a dangerous game of hide-and-seek in corridors filled with enemies. The risks are high, but it is the only way to reach the one you seek. There is more than one way into this place. Your choice will dictate much.
What else do you see, mighty oracle?
Oh, such pain. I see two restless spirits crying out for revenge. These shades could help you destroy the dark force if they were to be brought back from their spiritual form. Yet this is only one possible path to your destiny. I'm afraid this is getting beyond me. I know very little about the afterlife. I can only advise getting counsel from the druids. Be warned. The druids are reclusive and dangerous. They might aid you, or they might destroy you. Like their island, the druid's nature is hidden in the mists. There is nothing more I can do for you
except to give you this. It is water from the sacred pool. That and my blessing go with you.
Thank you, great oracle.
Alexander pulls out his magic map. Another island has appeared on the magic map. Alexander wonders if it has anything to do with the oracle's reference to the Druids. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation. From the northeast come the sounds of mysterious drums and chanting. Alexander is standing on the beach of a shrouded island. From here, two paths lead into the island, one to the northwest and one to the northeast. Weird gnarled trees and rolling mists add to the island's eerie atmosphere. The ocean is only visible for a few feet before it becomes shrouded in mist. From the east come the sounds of mysterious drums and chanting. Steps lead up to the treehouse's entrance. The steps are sheltered by a worn animal hide. As Alexander peers into the dark entryway, he can make out a well-bolted wooden door. Alexander takes the scythe. Alexander reaches into the fire pit and takes a lump of coal. Alexander is frozen at the spectacle before him. Robed figures are gathered around a
Brothers! This...
Wait!
There...
Alexander... and the cage... Alexander's... the bottom of... mercifully.
Tickets only. Next.
That was a bit too hot to handle. Alexander has a pitch-black lump of coal that he found in the Isle of the Mists. The scythe has a long, curved blade and a wooden handle. Alexander has already taken one lump of coal from the pit. From the northeast come the sounds of mysterious drums and chanting. Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation. Alexander picks up the bottle. The little bottle contains some sort of potion and bears a label saying, "Drink me." That's rather forward of it.
Your Highness may as well spend her royal time contemplating something else. The lump of coal shall be sent to the Castle of the Crown under my name, and that's all there is to it.
No, it shan't.
Yes, it shall.
If the coal is sent in your name, I shall royally decree a ban on all red on this isle.
You do, and I shall royally decree that white shall be henceforth used for all mopping up of cabbage stew.
You wouldn't dare!
Oh, wouldn't I?
Oh, it's you! Have you thought of any more of those brilliant ideas of yours?
There's no point in using an object on itself.
I found the two of you another lump of coal so that you can stop fighting over the one you have.
Oh, let me see! A lump of coal! And what a beauty it is, too! Oh, marvelous! Now we can stop fighting, sister. Your Highness can just keep the old lump of coal, and I'll take this new one.
Quite right. That settles everything.
As a token of our endless esteem and royal favor, please accept this magnificent and truly incredible spoiled egg.
Thanks.
Let me see that lump of coal, Your Highness.
It is a beauty, isn't it?
Why, it's bigger than my lump of coal. Let me have it immediately.
Over my dead body, Your Highness. It's my lump of coal, and it is indeed larger and much grander. Just look at that sheen.
I demand you exchange with me immediately.
Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation. Alexander decides to pass through the gate, preparing the shield just in case. The magic arrow completely shatters the shield. Good thing the arrow didn't hit Alexander. The archer's bow is empty, his lone arrow spent. A delicate gazebo made of white painted pine and overgrown with rose vines leads north into what appears from here to be a garden. Alexander walks forward to step onto the gazebo. But the rose hedges on either side of the path, sensing an intruder's presence, reach out their vines and blend together. The path is blocked. Alexander wields the scythe, determined to get past the magical rose hedges. The leaves fly as Alexander tries to cut the branches faster than they can grow back together. He sees light. He's through.
Who dares enter Beast's garden?
My name is Alexander. I didn't mean to disturb your private garden.
No. And yet, monsieur, you could hardly have accidentally broken through the 3 enchanted traps of the Isle of the Beast.
I suppose it is simply my nature to break through enchanted traps.
You must be a prince, then. I know the nature of princes all too well. This face you see before you is hideous, is it not?
Well, for the face of a beast, it is really quite noble.
Ha! I'm glad you like it, for you will soon own one just like it. I too was once a pretty prince, caring for nothing but adventuring and rescuing fair maidens. But I rankled one too many evil hags. One dark night, I was turned into this obscenity you see before you, warped in shape and trapped on this enchanted island over 100 years ago.
Surely there is a way off this island.
Oh, surely. You broke in, did you not? And yet think, where would I go clad so eloquently as I am with this silk and this pelt? You see, my prison is also my sanctuary. You are the first to break through the barriers in these many years. That is, except for the druids who stole my heirloom coat of arms.
If there's any way I can help.
Help? You? I'm afraid you don't understand. The enchanted barriers were a warning and protection for you more than for me. Your prize for forcing your way past them is to join me in this dire life. By the laws of this sorcery, you are doomed to be trapped in the form of a beast. Your reward for broaching this garden is to be my slave, a slave as beastly as I am. You have only a few hours of humanity left.
But that's not possible. There must be some way to break the enchantment. Spells always have a weakness somewhere.
The enchantment you are under is tied to my own. Oh, the sorceress left me a way out. But I'm afraid it was only her final bitter joke. You see, I need only find a maiden to join me here, to share my castle, my life, willingly. Take another look at me. You can't help but admire the hag's terrible cruelty and cunning.
I shall try to find such a maid, for Casima's sake.
Truly? How determined of you. I personally would not waste my last few hours as a man on an impossible errand. However, you may do as you please. I give you this token. It's my family ring, and the only heirloom I have left. If perchance you should... if you think you have found a maid...
I shall give her this ring.
Yes, she must accept it of her own free will. By doing so, she accepts me. Not that you shall find anyone, mind you. Your time is short. Count the minutes on your fingers while your fingers you have, pretty prince. Your master will await you.
Alexander takes a magnificent white rose from the rose hedges. There's no reason to touch that. A rabbit hops about rather fearlessly. It's probably never even seen a human. Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation. Alexander doesn't remember that sign being on the wall before. He decides to take a closer look. It's a proclamation. It reads, "Citizens rejoice, announcing the royal wedding and coronation of Wazir Abdul al-Hazred and Princess Kasima. For reasons of security, the wedding will not be open to the public. Long live the new king and queen of the land of the Green Isles." Alexander feels his stomach turn at the thought of the dread event. If he doesn't do something soon, Kasima will be another man's wife. Alexander feels a strange sensation come over him. His skin begins to itch. His head throbs.
Wee, 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 wee!
Was that the beast you could do? The rose has a hue of the purest white. The small vial contains the oracle's sacred water. The water has a crystalline appearance. Beast's ring is made of pure, heavy gold and bears an insignia possibly related to Beast's princely past.
Pardon me, maid. I hope you don't think me forward, but I see that you like roses. I thought you might, perhaps, like a fresh white rose.
Alexander can see the conflict in the girl's pretty face as she fights between her distrust of him and her desire for the white rose. The rose wins.
Oh, I shouldn't, sir, but it is so lovely. I've never seen a rose of white. It looks so pale and delicate. Wherever did you find one of such a color?
There are many hedges of them on the Isle of the Beast, and they grow together like magic.
Oh, truly? What an adventure that must be to see them. But I should not speak so, especially to a stranger. Thank you for the rose, though, kind sir.
Alexander has a thought about the serving girl. He decides to bring up the subject of Beast with her.
Let me tell you about the place where the white roses grow. The Isle of the Beast is an enchanted place. There's a path running through a deep forest. The path crosses 3 magic blockades, set to keep all visitors away. At the center lives a tremendous beast.
Really? Magic blockades? How exciting! What kind of a beast? Is it very terrifying and ferocious?
It is a beast that walks on 2 legs and dresses like a prince. It speaks with the voice of a man.
A beast that talks and wears clothes? How is that possible? Is the beast magic too?
Not magical. Enchanted. Beast was once a prince, but a witch trapped him in the form of a beast and set him on the island. There he lives in a castle in the midst of a maze.
How terrible! Imagine how lonely he must be.
It is a very lonely prospect, isn't it? Oh, I have met him, you see. He is indeed ferocious, but who would not be?
He really exists? Oh, how it breaks my heart. If I could, I would tend to such a beast. Such a beast might find comfort in a kind face. Do you not think it so?
Oh, I think it's so. I very much think it's so. You would not be afraid of him?
Afraid? Maybe at first. But how silly of me to speak so. The roses in this little yard are the only magic I will ever see.
I could take you there. In fact, I would owe you my life if you would go. If you truly wish to go.
You are serious? I could leave here? Oh, I have always dreamt of leaving. But to actually go... This is the only home I have ever known.
Home is a hard place to leave, even if you're unhappy there.
But I will go. If I can help him, I must go.
Is there nothing you wish to take with you?
There is nothing.
Then take this ring. It is his. He will be pleased if you would wear it.
Why, it's the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. Thank you kindly, sir.
Beauty! Where do you think you're going?
To a place where roses grow, and to someone who truly needs me.
I see you wear my ring. You willingly agreed to spend your life here with me? Do you know what that means?
Yes, my lord, I do. I have been touched by your story.
Pity alone need not sentence you to endure this face.
Oh, but it is a gentle face, and kind.
You look at me so sweetly and are not repulsed. Oh, by the light of your eyes, my spirit soars. The enchantment! It is broken!
I am pleased to have served you, my lord. Do you still wish me to stay?
What? Speak not such nonsense, Beauty. Do you think that I learned nothing of true love during my time here? You are my queen.
Oh, my clothes! This gown!
How well it suits your noble heart.
Alexander, how can I ever repay you? I have nothing to offer except my gratitude. But please, take these old clothes. Perhaps you'll find someone in need during your travels.
You have already repaid me by your example of courage, Beauty. And by your friendship, I hope.
You will always have our friendship and loyalty, Prince Alexander. But from a fellow adventurer, take some advice. If you find your true love, protect her with your life. Fear all beasts without the redeeming humanity of love. And to aid you, accept my mirror. Now that my life is no longer hung in false shadows, I have no need for it. Give it to someone with nothing to fear from the truth it reveals.
Thank you. I wish you both well.
Come, beauty. Let me take you home.
Beauty's old clothes are very ragged and heavy. They consist of a long, thick dress and a headpiece which covers the hair and most of the face. A long strand of Beauty's blonde hair is caught in the mantle. Beast's mirror consists of a piece of glass set into a decorative frame. The glass is unusually clear and the image particularly true. The small dagger is a gift from Lady Celeste. Its handle is decorated with precious gems set in a delicate feminine style. The spoiled egg has a slightly yellowed shell that bulges in spots from the pressure of the gases inside. Alexander pours the contents of the oracle's vial into the hunter's lamp with the baby's tears. The vial, now empty of its sacred fluid, disintegrates. Alexander fills the hunter's lamp to the brim with the fountain water. Alexander is carrying This is the first, the path. Alexander prepares to enchant the hunter's lamp with the Make Rain spell incantation.
Clouds of thunder, shafts of light, come and sup with me tonight. Waters 3 have I for tea, brew a tempest now for me.
The lamp in Alexander's hand gives a little perk. He hopes the spell works despite his makeshift teapot. Beast's castle has a different, more welcoming air as the bridal home of Beauty and her prince. The hedge continues back towards the castle and forms what appears to be a maze. An iron gate leads to a maze of hedges. An iron gate Alexander takes a magnificent white rose from the rose hedges. Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation.
Hello? Jalo, my friend, is the wedding still moving forward at the castle?
Prince Alex, egads, yes, that confounded wedding has a whole castle a-bustle. Look, I didn't come here to talk about that, though. I came to warn you.
Warn me? About what? Isn't the wedding bad enough?
No, listen. The Wazir knows that you're here, Alexander. He's posted extra guards, and he's telling them about a foreign saboteur. Who else could he mean but you? The Wazir's genie must have learned of your presence in the land, Prince Alex. I don't know how, but he must have.
I haven't exactly been discreet, I'm afraid.
Alexander, this is serious. Alhazred will never let you get close to Casima now. He stubbled the castle guard, probably to make sure you keep out. Gadzooks! Oh, it's too bad there isn't some way to convince Alhazred that you've left the islands or even died. If he thought you were out of the way, you might be able to get close enough to...
What an interesting thought. Tell me more about this genie.
The genie's name is Shamir Shamazel. Alhazred brought Shamir with him when he came to this kingdom. Shamir probably won't directly threaten you, but that doesn't mean he isn't dangerous. He can be a terrible trickster and an ingenious spy. It's too bad we can't get our hands on Shamir's lamp. If we had that lamp, Alhazred and all of our problems would be solved. Wouldn't that be a fine thing?
You would wish to be master of such a wicked creature?
Oh, Shamir isn't necessarily evil. Genies never are, you know. They only reflect their owner's heart, for good or ill. Alhazred is hardly a shining example for an impressionable genie.
So how do you propose we go about getting Shamir's lamp?
What? Oh, Prince Alex, I was only dreaming. I mean, the lamp is heavily guarded. It would be easier to steal Alhazred's own trousers while he's wearing them than it would be to get that lamp.
But surely a clown's hands are quick and agile.
Well, yes, they are, matter of fact. But then the theft would be detected almost immediately. And then... my poor neck.
If the theft were detected.
Oh, I see. Yes, well, there might be a slim chance, but only that. If you could find a replica of the genie's lamp, an exact replica, I might be able to make the swap. I alone might get close enough, but I couldn't tell you what to look for. I caught a glimpse of it only once. I would know it if I saw it again, but to say I cannot.
Well, I'll just have to see what I can do.
Good luck to you then, Prince Alex. I really must be going back to the castle. I don't think I'll be able to come back here. If we were spied on, well, it's too high a risk. I hope you understand. If I see Casima, I'll tell her I saw you. If you do ever make it to the castle, look me up. And do be careful, friend.
I will. Goodbye, Jalo. Thanks for all your help. Pardon me. Let me now it I home. Is there nothing you wish to take with you?
Beauty!
I see you pit. You.
What? Alexander.
You. And thank.
Beauty's all along. Alexander. Alexander. Alexander reads with Alexander
clouds.
The lamp in Alexander's hand gives a little perk. He hopes Alexander searches through. Alexander has a single strand of Beauty's golden hair. Alexander takes a Taking off your adventurer's cap so soon?